Hello everybody, welcome back. This is my 1000 subscriber special. I've honestly been looking forward to making this video the entire day because I finished writing it all last night. It's gonna be estimated to be around 50-ish minutes, maybe longer, I don't know yet. But I hope you all enjoy it, I'm so excited. This fanfiction includes Bakugou, Tamaki, Shinso, Todoroki, Kirishima, Sero, Denki, and Deku. It's all going to be in different parts, and it's titled Child, and you'll see why soon. I'm so excited. Thank you all so much. I have a bottle of water with me, because my throat's probably going to get dry in the middle of this. But I hope you all enjoy, and let's get to it. Bakugou. You and your boyfriend Bakugou were out on a mission trying to capture this small group of villains. They weren't particularly harmful, but they have been causing trouble through the city for way longer than they should. The two of you were now facing them off head to head. Bakugou shot an explosion at two of the villains while you used your quirk aura. Your quirk, or aura, allows you to see a person's aura. You can also take away the person's aura or personality, leaving them emotionless. An example of this is if their aura is hostile or evil, like most villains, you can take it away and give yourself a power boost and leave them emotionless, not wanting to fight. The downside is it causes major mood swings. And this is going to be your quirk throughout the entire fanfiction, just so you know. You started to feel more powerful and stronger, and started charging at them while they stayed still, not feeling the will to put up a fight. You were able to knock them out with ease. Once they were knocked out, you realized that Bakugou's explosions had died down. In fact, you couldn't hear them at all. You went back to where he was last and saw that the villains were fleeing. You were about to go after them until you heard a baby? Or a toddler, you weren't quite sure. You were sure you evacuated everyone from that area, so you looked towards the source of the noise and saw Bakugou's hero costume, and inside, a smaller version of Bakugou. You were confused to say the least, but you had to admit, Bakugou was adorable as a baby. You scooped him up in his clothes, deciding it would be best to take care of him first and deal with the villains later. "Put me down, you old hag!" the small Bakugou said. You giggled. "Who are you calling an old hag?" he said softly but teasingly. "I'm calling you an old hag!" he yelled, squirming around in your arms trying to escape. You laughed at the small boy. "Come on, Katsuki, we're going home so I can take care of this," he said, ignoring the squirming boy in your arms. By the time you got home, he was still squirming around trying to escape. You even almost dropped him a few times. God, this child's proactive, you thought in your head, letting out a sigh. You walked through the door and locked it behind you before setting the boy down to ensure he wouldn't run away the second time he was free from your arms. To ensure he wouldn't run away the second he was free from your arms. "Okay, you stay here, and I'm going to find you some clothes you can wear," you said, pointing a finger at him. "You can't make me," he said, running away from you. Since your shared apartment wasn't that big, you decided to just get the clothes and find him later. You can't get that far away anyway. You found a shirt that you had that Bakugou gave you on one of your dates. That said, Katsuki Bakugou's property. He was very protective of you, to say the least. You giggled, remembering the date, before turning to go find the small boy. "Katsuki, come out, wherever you are," you said, walking around the apartment. You heard small giggles coming from the kitchen, and slowly walked over there. "Wow, Katsuki, you're such a good hider, but I'm a better seeker. Gotcha!" You opened up a cabinet, seeing the small spiky-haired boy giggling away. You smiled and picked him up. Come on, let's get you changed, and then you can mess around and eat, okay? Okay, he said, his face lighting up at the word mess around. He seemed like such a sweet and playful boy. You showed him the shirt, and he gasped. That's my name, he said in excitement, snatching the shirt and throwing it over his head. That's right, you smiled. Okay, what do you want to eat? You asked him, starting to walk towards the kitchen. Sashimi, he more so demanded, which made you laugh. All right, sashimi it is, you said, grabbing your apron from the pantry and tying your hair up into a low ponytail. He ran off into another room, probably to find something to play with while you started cooking. Damn, even as a child, he really liked spicy food. You finished cooking and called Katsuki over. He was covered in some of his, or should I say older his, clothes. You quickly snapped a picture without him noticing, so that way you could send it to his mother and show him when he was back to normal. You gave him a bowl with the sashimi, and he chomped away happily while you also ate. He finished quickly and ran to the couch to watch TV. By the time you finished your food, he was half asleep watching an All Might cartoon that was released back when you were 2. Come on, Bakugou, let's go to bed, you said in a sweet tone. Oh, just one more episode, he said, yawning. Not right now, Katsuki. You can watch it tomorrow, though, okay? He said. Fine, he pouted, letting you pick him up and bring him to our bedroom. You laid down with him in your arms as he was laying on your chest, wrapping his small arms around you, snuggling into you. He soon fell asleep, and you following afterwards. You woke up with much more weight on your chest than the night before. Your eyes fluttered open to see a mess of spiky blonde hair in your face and a much bigger Bakugou laying on your chest. You rubbed his back, causing him to snuggle even deeper into you. Thank you, Lion, he said, his words being muffled. What's that, Katsuki? You asked teasingly. I said thank you, damn it, he said, lifting his head up only for you to quickly peck him on the lips. You're welcome, you said, smiling as his face turned red. He face planted back into your chest. You're gonna be a great mother one day. Your face turned red. What? Tamaki. You were out patrolling with Tamaki, your boyfriend of 2 years. You met in UA in your 2nd year. Everything was going fine until you saw a knife being thrown out of the alleyway towards you. You moved out of the way just in time so the knife didn't wound you. You ran into the alleyway with Tamaki following a little behind you, eating some snacks to help with his quirk. You used your quirk to see their auras, seeing red and black coming from the dark alley. There looked to be 2 people, seemingly low-life villains who were just trying to lure the stupid and curious people in. You looked towards Tamaki and nodded your head. He used his quirk to send tentacles towards them, grabbing the 2 by their ankles. You used your quirk to make them emotionless and went to go knock them out. Suddenly, Tamaki's quirk was gone. You quickly knocked them out and turned to where Tamaki was, only to see a pile of his clothes and a 3rd person turning the corner. You were sure there wasn't a 3rd person. You were about to chase after him until you heard faint crying coming from the clothes. You walked over to the clothes and moved the piece of fabric cautiously until you saw a small boy with hair like Tamaki's crying. He was obviously scared. But where am I? He asked through tears, rubbing his eyes. You picked him up carefully in the pile of clothes, shushing him softly. Hey, it's okay, you're safe. We were just about to go home, okay? You said, trying your best not to alarm the boy in your arms. He nodded through sniffles, and you started walking towards the apartment. Can Mirio come over to play? He asked. Of course he can, you said, smiling down at him. You found it so sweet that he wanted to play with his friend. Plus, it would mean that you had some extra help on how to figure out Plus, it meant you'd had some extra help to help you figure out how to take care of the small being. You got to your apartment and closed and locked the door. Okay, you can sit on the couch and watch a show while I go and call Mario, okay? You asked Wheelie. Okay, he said hesitantly, walking cautiously over to the couch. You smiled and walked into another room. Hey, Lion, what's up? Mario asked. Hey, Mario, we have a situation, you said hesitantly. What happened? He asked, now sounding a bit more worried. Well, you see, today while me and Tamaki were on patrol, he got hit with this quirk and now he's a child. And he wants you to come over and play, which I thought, hey, he knows about his childhood, so he can help me. So can you please come over and help me? You asked, kind of pleading with him. No problem, I'll be over in 5, he said, and hung up before you could say another word. You walked back into the room to see Tamaki engulfed in a cartoon show that came out recently. Hey, Tamaki, what do you want for dinner? Maria's gonna be over in 5 minutes, you asked him sweetly. Can I have takoyaki? He asked. Of course, he said, smiling at him, grabbing the supplies he needed. Mario soon arrived. Mario's here, he said, showing you the tall, blonde boy next to him holding his hand. Okay, you two go play while I make dinner, okay? Okay, he said, smiling a bit, which made your heart quench. Mario picked Tamaki up and put him on his shoulders, walking to another room to play. Dinner's ready, you yelled, with the two smiling and playful boys running to the kitchen. You all ate your food while Mario was basically hyping Tamaki up. Sorry, Tamaki, I have to go, it's getting late, he said. Mario said, slightly frowning, which made you giggle a bit. The two hugged each other to bye, which was the absolute cutest thing you've ever seen. And Mario laughed. That's okay, Tamaki. Do you want to sleep right now, or do you want to watch some more cartoons? You asked the small boy. I think I want to sleep, he said with droopy eyes. You smiled and picked him up so that the two of you could lay down in your shared bed. He ended up falling asleep on your chest, and you fell asleep with your arms wrapped around him. You woke up to see a much taller Tamaki on your chest than the one you remembered fell asleep on you. He smiled, playing with his indigo hair, causing him to slowly wake up. When he realized what had happened, he frantically got up in a blushing mess. I'm so sorry, he said, frantically trying to hide his face. You smiled and walked up to him, engulfing him in a hug. It's okay, Amajiki, you smiled sweetly at him before giving him a quick peck on the lips. He blushed even more, often to hiding his face in the crook of your neck. I love you. Shinso. You and Shinso were out on patrol when the two of you saw some low-level villains robbing a grocery store. The two of you immediately went to the scene, with Shinso using his scarf to propel himself closer. He used his scarf to restrain the two villains, while you used your quirk in order to drain them and knock them out. What neither of you thought to notice was that there was a third villain hiding behind the checkout counter. He shot his quirk at Shinso before fleeing, leaving his two friends in the process. You were obviously worried for Shinso since you didn't know what the guy's quirk was. You also got anxious because when Shinso got hit by the quirk, his scarf just dropped. You turned around and saw a pile of his clothes. Oh God! You yelled, frantically pulling the piece of cloth out of the way until you saw a small child. He had messy lilac hair and big purple eyes. He looked frightened, but didn't cry. You wrapped him in his hero costume before walking outside the store. You pointed to a civilian with their phone out who was trying to record the fight. You there, call the police. The two villains are inside, and inform them one of them has fled, he said sternly. They nodded their head quickly, dialing the number, and you left to go towards your house. Once you arrived, you set Shinso down on the couch. Okay, Hitoshi, you just sit there and I'll go get you some clothes, okay? He nodded his head and went to go grab the remote. Why is he being so quiet? You thought to yourself as you walked towards your bedroom. You grabbed an old t-shirt that you never threw out. It was from your UA days. God, that was so long ago. You walked back into the living area to see Shinso engulfed in a playback of Eraserhead finding a villain. You smiled, remembering how, when the two of you first met, he always talked about how much he adored the hero. You came over to him holding up the shirt. Alright, let's get you changed and then we can make dinner. How does that sound? Does that sound good to you? You asked sweetly. He nodded his head. You pulled the shirt over his head and he hopped off of the couch and went straight to the pantry. He held out a recipe book with the page flipped onto coffee cake. Shinso, you can't have coffee cake for dinner. How about... You thought for a moment. Udon, you exclaimed. His eyes lightened up as he nodded. You smiled and put on your apron. 2 udon coming up, you said, causing the small boy to giggle a bit. His smile was so adorable, and so was his laugh. You finished making the meal and walked over to the couch with 2 bowls of udon. Here you go, you said, handing him the bowl. He immediately began eating. You put on some cartoons that you used to watch and began eating as well. After the 2 of you finished eating, you grabbed the bowls and went to wash them, leaving the boy to watch the show. When you came back, you saw him half asleep. That's when you remembered that he hasn't really spoke to you ever since he has been in the state. Hey, Shinso, why are you so quiet today? You asked, looking concerned. Because I don't want to hurt you, he said quietly. Everything clicked. He must be at that age where he just manifested his quirk, and he probably doesn't have a lot of control over it. You picked him up in your arms. You picked him up and he wrapped his arms around your neck. It's okay, Shinso, you hushed, rocking him back and forth. You aren't going to hurt me, you said. Soon, the boy's grip loosened and you could tell he had fallen asleep. You carried him to your bedroom and laid down with him in your arms until you eventually passed out. You woke up with long, messy lilac hair in your face. Realizing Shinso was back to normal, you ruffled his hair playfully in an attempt to get it out of your face. His arms were wrapped around your waist, with his face snuggled into the crook of your neck. The boy eventually stirred awake and shot his head up to see you. We will not speak of this, he said hurriedly, getting off of you in the process. You laughed at his embarrassed state. Oh, come on, Shinso, you were so adorable, you cooed. No, he said. You laughed again. You walked up to him and pecked him on the lips. You're welcome for taking care of you, asshole, he said teasingly. Thank you for taking care of me, meanie, he said, pouting. He engulfed you into a hug. Whoa, what's with the affection all of a sudden, huh? You asked, smiling. You're gonna be a great mother one day, he said. It was muffled by your hair. Well, I mean, I've had lots of practice taking care of our entire class, he said. Oh, shush, he said teasingly, pulling away from the hug to give you a kiss on the forehead. I'm gonna take a quick water break. Todoroki. You and your fiancé Todoroki were out on a mission to find these villains that were causing havoc for a while. The 2 of you were currently at a hero agency that they were ransacking. With the 2 of you staying close to each other, you searched the building trying to find the villains and a few civilians along the way. The 2 of you walked into one room that you saw 2 auras coming from. You open the door, readying yourself on for an attack. Todoroki immediately shot eyes on the ground in order to restrain them, while you use your quirk to knock them out. You turn around to give Todoroki a high five, but he wasn't there. Instead, there was just a pile of clothes, to be more specific, his hero costume. You ran to the door and saw one of the villains were fleeing. You were going to chase after it until you heard crying. You turned towards the clothes and cautiously moved around the clothing until you revealed a small boy with teal-colored hair. You noticed that he didn't have a scar on his left eye, which you found odd since you always remember it being there. You decided to discard the thought of chasing the villain, leaving him for the other prey heroes to take care of, and scooped up the small boy. You quickly ran through the back door in order to not have to deal with the public and started your way to the two of yours apartment. The boy hugged your neck while you walked, and your heart just died at that moment. So cute, you thought to yourself. The two of you soon arrived and you sat him on the couch. You wait here and I'll get you a change of clothes, okay? You asked. Okay, the small boy said happily, grabbing the remote to turn on the television. You smiled and walked into your bedroom. You found a shirt that I should have gave you on a second date. Your heart quenched at the memory. The two of you went to an amusement park and he bought you this at the gift shop after you got drenched in water on one of the rides. You smiled and went to return to the boy. He was watching. Oh my god! You quickly grabbed the remote and turned it off, realizing he was watching Rock and Morphy. He giggled at how frantic you were, and you let out a long sigh. You pulled the shirt over his head and turned the TV back on to put on a more child-friendly cartoon. You started to walk towards the kitchen when you felt tugging on your pants. No, don't go, the duo boy pleaded with you. I have to make dinner though, you said, crouching down to his level. I'll help you then, he said. Before you knew it, he was sitting on your shoulders, gripping onto your head in order to stay on while you cooked. Cold soba, cold soba, cold soba, he chanted. You giggled and grabbed the ingredients you needed in order to make the small boy's favorite treat. The two of you finished and plated the cold soba on 2 plates. Okay, now get off so you can eat, you said. The boy quickly got off and ran to the dining table where you sat down his plate. The two of you began eating. You giggled when you noticed the smaller Shoto ate his food exactly like older Shoto. The two of you finished and Shoto grabbed your hand. Come on, I'm sleepy, the small boy demanded. Okay, I'm coming, jeez, he said, teasingly as he dragged you into your shared bedroom. He jumped onto the bed with a little assistance from you, and you got into bed as well. He snuggled up onto your chest. Good night, Shoto, you said, stroking his back. Good night, he said, drifting off into sleep. You soon doing the same. You woke up with arms wrapped around your waist and a much heavier man cuddling you. You smiled and softly woke up your fiancé. Why, good morning, sleepyhead, he said teasingly as he stayed awake, lifting his head up. He rolled over so you were on top of him and he kissed you on the lips. Good morning, baby. Well, someone's in a good mood today, he said. Well, why wouldn't I be in a good mood when I find out the love of my life and my perfect soon-to-be wife is also going to be the perfect mother, he said, getting off of the bed with you and spinning you around. You blushed deeply at his statement. I'm not going to be the perfect mother, you said, trying to hide your face. He kissed you on your forehead. I'll believe it when I see it, he said, resting his forehead on yours. Kirishima. You and your boyfriend, Kirishima, were out on patrol. Everything was fine until you saw a fire in the distance. You both looked at each other for a second before running. You saw some other pro-heroes there, mostly helping getting the civilians out. You ran into the burning building with Kirishima close behind you. You activated your quirk, seeing the two villains in question, who started this thing, were in the room to the left. You pointed into the direction, and Kirishima nodded. Kirishima burst into the door, taking them head-on. He knocked them out, and he turned to you smiling. Alright, let's get out of here. You were cut off before you could finish your statement when one of the villains shot their quirk at Kirishima before passing out again. Suddenly, all that was left of Kirishima was his hero costume. You started to worry and quickly moved around the clothing, and that's when you saw a black-haired boy pop his head out. You quickly grabbed the child and ran out of the burning building. You couldn't question what the hell just happened, since you needed to get out of there as soon as possible. You got out just as the building collapsed on itself. You went straight home with the boy, knowing it to be Kirishima from all the baby pictures you've seen of him. The boy seemed scared of what just happened, so you drew circles on his back to calm him down. You soon arrived home and set the boy on the couch. Okay, stay here while I find a shirt, you said. You knew it wouldn't work, knowing how he was as an adult, but it was worth a try. The boy immediately started walking around the house, mind you, butt naked. You sighed and just decided to find clothes. You found an old button-down white shirt of yours back in the way. You smiled, remembering your chaotic class, before turning to walk back into the living area. The boy popped his head out from behind the chair, and ran up to you, smiling cheekily. You pulled the shirt over his head, making it look like he was wearing a dress, which you thought was so cute. Ejiro, what do you want for dinner today? You asked the small boy. He ran to the kitchen and opened up the freezer, grabbing the first meat that he saw. Beef it is, you said, grabbing it from him. Yay, he said. You loved how energetic he was, even as a child. You took out a pan and began cooking it. Kirishima latched onto your leg. Kiri, honey, what are you doing? You asked, looking down at the boy. I'm restraining you, villain, he said, putting his most heroic smile on. Your heart quenched. Oh yes, I am a villain and I'm going to eat you up, you said. The boy quickly got off your leg and giggled while you were chasing him around the house, completely forgetting the food. Oh, I got you now, hero, you said when he got into a corner. No, you don't, he said as he ran in between your legs and jumped onto your back. You dramatically fell onto the ground. Oh no, you got me, you said, acting defeated. He smiled and got off of you. Suddenly, you smelled burning? Shoot, you said, running to the kitchen. The meat was very much so burnt. You sighed before pulling out your phone and ordering Post Pals. Kirishima was munching on his steak while you did the same, watching the show The Amazing World of Chewing Gum. Once you finished, you grabbed the two of your plates to watch them. You looked over at the boy, seeing he looked pretty tired. Are you tired, Kiri? You asked him sweetly. He yawned. Yeah, he said, drooping his head on your shoulder. You picked him up and carried him to your bedroom, laying down with him. He wrapped his arms around your neck, and the two of you eventually fell asleep. The next morning, you woke up with a much taller man on top of you, beaming down at you. Ah, you're finally awake, he said, as he sat up. He engulfed you in a hug and gave you a quick kiss. Thanks for taking care of me, Pebble, he said, parting the kiss. You smiled at him, wrapping your arms around his neck. Anytime, Ejiro. Sero. You were currently out on patrol with your best friend and husband, Sero. Suddenly, the two of you got pulled into this alleyway. You activated your quirk, seeing two villains. They seemed to be low on power, so you didn't have to worry too much. Sero shot his tape towards them, restraining one of them while the other dodged and turned a corner out of your eye shot. You quickly knocked the restrained guy out and was about to go after the other one that fled when you suddenly heard cooing. You looked towards the direction of the noise, seeing that villain from earlier running away and Sero not there. Instead, you just saw a pile of cloth that you guessed was his hero costume. You ran up to the clothing, frantically moving cloth until you saw a child. More specifically, young Sero. You scooped him up quickly as you were walking. You scooped him up and quickly left. As you were walking to your shared apartment, you informed the police over phone of the villains and its whereabouts. You opened the front door and Sero popped his head up to peer into the house. He immediately jumped out of your arms and ran to the couch, stumbling a bit before climbing up the piece of furniture and plopping down, grabbing the remote. Well, okay then, he said, turning to go to the bedroom to find clothes. You and Sero had tried for babies, but so far the two of you haven't had any luck. So you had some Charlie clothes that you bought on a whim because it looked too cute to not buy. You took it out and walked into the living room, only to see a small boy watching that one American cartoon about a hero with a spider quirk. You held out the baby clothes. Okay, I'm just gonna put this on you and then we can eat some food and play, okay? He said. Okay, the small boy said sweetly. He smiled. You put the clothes on the small boy. Once you were done, you grabbed your phone. Okay, what do you want from Post Pals, you asked. Can I have a chicken enchilada with orange juice? He asked. Of course, you said, ordering two to be delivered to your house. While waiting, you played hide and seek with Sero. You were currently hiding. You were hiding under the bed until Sero burst through the door. I know you're in here, he said, giggling as the small figure looked around the room. He crouched down and looked under the bed. Hey, I found you, he said. You found me, you said back, crawling back from under the bed. The doorbell rang, so you went to go answer it. The food just got delivered. The two of you were now watching the Spider Show on the couch while eating. Sero sipped on his orange juice, happily making you smile. The two of you finished eating, so you went to go clean up while he clutched onto your leg. You finished washing off when you noticed that the boy was snuggling into your leg, now half asleep. Can we go to bed? He yawned. Of course, sweetie, you said, picking him up and rubbing his back while he snuggled into the crook of your neck. You walked into the bedroom and laid down on the bed, almost immediately falling asleep. You woke up to Sero poking your cheek, wearing some shorts. He had obviously woken up before you to change. Why, good morning, mi amor, he said, bending down to kiss you on the lips. You wrapped your arms around his neck to deepen it. The two of you pulled apart and Sero picked you up by your waist. I can't wait to have a child with you, he exclaimed, twirling you around. You giggled and rested your forehead on his. I love you so much. Denki. You were out on patrol with your wonderful, electrifying boyfriend when you heard a woman scream. The two of you immediately ran to the source of the sound to see two villains harassing this woman. You quickly used your quirk to make them go emotionless before grabbing the lady in front of you to get her out of harm's way. You nodded towards Kaminari and he used his quirk to knock out the villains. As it all cleared up so you can see if they were actually knocked out, you noticed that Kaminari wasn't there. You were confused, and then you saw a pile of clothes just laying on the ground. You quickly ran up to it and peeked inside the clothes. That's when you saw a blonde-headed kid with a lightning bolt pop his head out. Holy shit, he's a baby, you thought to yourself. You quickly scooped him up in his clothes and fled before anyone could notice that the electrifying hero Charge Bolt had been turned into a toddler. The child seemed happy and joyful for some odd reason. At least he acts the same as older Denki. This should be a piece of cake. That's what you thought, at least. The second you got to your apartment, Denki was already out of your arms, running around the house like a lunatic, completely naked. You sighed, shaking your head, and just opted to finding some clothing first. You grabbed a shirt that he gave you that said Charge Bolt in all capital letters with a lightning bolt on it. You smiled and walked towards the living area. There, you saw him completely out of breath, sitting on the floor. You quickly took this as your chance to pull the shirt over his head before he could protest. Okay, you sit here, he said, picking him up and plopping him onto the couch. And I'll make dinner, he said, grabbing the remote to put on the show Pokemon. Denki's eyes brightened up even more, if that was possible. Can we have hamburgers? He asked, getting all giddy. Yes, we can have hamburgers, he sighed, pulling your hair up into a messy bun. Yay! He said, jumping up and down on the couch. You smiled to yourself and grabbed some hamburger meat out of the freezer to start cooking. You finished cooking and put all of Kaminari's favorite sauces on the hamburger before serving it to him. He instantly took a bite out of it, ketchup dripping from his mouth as he munched happily. You smiled, taking a bite out of your own food. The two of you finished eating, and you were cleaning up the plate when he came up to you. Can we play Pokemon? He said, smiling up at you. Your heart quenched. Yes, we can play Pokemon, he said, putting down the sponge. The two of you played and played until you both were exhausted. I'm tired, he whined. You and me both, he said, laying on the ground. Let's go get some sleep, he suggested, sitting up and picking him up. He obliged, and the two of you made it your way into your bedroom. You lay down in bed with Denki clutching onto your neck, already asleep. Soon afterward, you followed. You woke up to older Kaminari poking your cheeks, laying on top of your stomach. Well, good morning, my buzzy, beautiful sunshine nugget, he chimed. You said, flipping him over so you could lay on his chest. 5 more minutes, you whined. Denki sighed. I'm making pancakes. Your head instantly shot up at those words. No, do not go into the kitchen, you said, frantically jumping out of bed. There she is, Kaminari said, smiling deeply. I hate you. I love you too. Deku. You and your boyfriend of 3 years, Izuku, were supposed to be going out on a date, but instead, the two of you ended up getting called for a robbery that was right across the street from the restaurant you were eating at. You honestly were about to just not go, since there are going to be other pro heroes working on the situation, but Izuku insisted on going. The two of you were running across the street. You had your heels in one hand while Izuku was just running using his quirk. You got to the scene seeing 3 villains there. One of them started to try and flee, so you used your quirk to restrain them. So you used your quirk to stop them and tie them up. You turned to Deku, who was fighting the other 2 villains. He got hit with one of their quirks, and suddenly he was gone. And just his clothes laid there. Shit, you said, running over to the clothes. You saw the villains fleeing, but they got caught by the other pro heroes that just arrived. You ran to the pile of clothes and moved the pieces of fabric around until you saw messy green locks poke out. You moved it some more to see a tiny Izuku sitting on the ground, looking confused and scared. You quickly picked him up and looked around. You saw Bakugou in the distance and ran up to him. Hey, Bakugou, we have a situation, he said nervously, holding the pile of clothes tighter. What do you want? He stopped when he saw the younger Izuku pop his head out of the cloth. The damn nerd really got himself turned into a child, he said, laughing. Don't say bad words in front of the child, you yelled back at him. Since he obviously wasn't planning on helping you, you just decided to go home. You walked to your shared apartment, stroking the ground, and walked back. Once you got to the apartment, you set the boy down on the couch. Okay, you stay here while I get you some clothes, okay? He said sweetly. Okay, the small boy said, grabbing the remote controller and putting on some reruns of All Might Fighting. You smiled before returning and heading to your bedroom, grabbing one of your old t-shirts from high school. You went back to the boy. He was watching us silently as All Might said, I am here. You smiled and walked over to him. He turned to you only to be met with fabric in his face as you swiftly pulled the shirt over his head. There you go, you said, smiling to yourself at your handiwork. Izuku turned back to the TV and began rocking back and forth as the fighting escalated. You turned and walked to the kitchen. What do you want for dinner, Izu? You asked, his eyes brightened up with excitement. Can we have Katsudon? He asked, hope filling his eyes. Of course, you said, smiling. Yay, he said, running around the couch. You grabbed your apron and tied your hair up and got to work. Dinner's ready, you yelled. You heard a loud thumping as Izuku approached you, holding out his hands. You handed him his food and he carefully ran over to the dining table to begin eating. You sat down with him and watched as he happily chomped on his food, his eyes brightening up after every single bite. Let's play hero, he said in excitement after you finished cleaning up the dishes. All right, you said, smiling. Okay, you play as a hostage, and I'll save you as hero, he said, pounding his fist into the air. All right, you said. Next thing you know, you're sitting in your bedroom and Izuku barges in. I am here, he yells, pumping his fist into the air. You are here, you exclaimed, acting shocked. He ran over to you and hugged you. You're safe now, he said happily, flashing his sweetest smile at you. You smiled back. Oh my goodness, thank you so much, you exclaimed, wrapping him in your arms. He giggled before letting out a soft yawn. Are you tired? You asked him, tilting your head a bit. Yeah, he said, wrapping his arms around your neck. All right, let's go to bed then, he said, picking him up. You lay down in bed with the small green-haired boy in your chest. He eventually fell asleep, and you soon followed. You stirred awake, feeling more weight on your chest than you expected. Your eyes fluttered open, only to see green locks covering your face as a much older Izuku laid on your chest. You gently rubbed his back until he also woke up. Good morning, puppy, he said, lifting his head up to give you a quick peck. Good morning, Izu. Did you sleep good? You asked. He said, getting off of you. Thank you for taking care of me, Mayan, he said, rubbing his eyes. Anytime, you said, tiredly smiling. You rolled over so that you were now on top of him, cuddling into his chest. Okay, now give me 5 minutes to sleep like this. The man laughed. I'll make your favorite for breakfast, he said. You shot up. Yay, he said, wrapping your arms around his neck and jumping off of him. Now what are you doing laying there when you could be cooking? You said. He laughed. I love you, Ryan. I love you too, Izu. And that's all! I hope you all enjoyed this. I need water again, so sorry about that. I hope you all enjoyed. I spent all last night writing this. And yeah. Thank you all for listening, if you did. Yeah. I'll put my link to my Discord down in the description if you want to join and chat. All that fun stuff. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope some of your favorite characters are here. And I'll see you all next time. By the way, this is going to be the only video for today since, you know, you got 8 different characters in one video. So, and my voice is pretty strained after this, talking for about 45 minutes. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!